Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Happy Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a good weekend going forward. Today I just want to talk about a very interesting article that got me to go down the rabbit hole a little bit. So I hope that you all stick with this video because I think this is very interesting. This is not necessarily prepping related, but I do believe that information and knowledge is power. And I think that the more that we know about this climate change stuff that they've been trying to shove down our throats for decades now, the better that we'll be off, especially our kids in the future. Climate lies. Top climate scientists say they were ordered to cover up truths that the Earth's temperature hasn't risen in 15 years. You know, just like other conspiracy theories of the past, sometimes they turn out, maybe years later sometimes, turn out to be true. I remember just a few years ago, people saying, hey man, this stuff that they're telling you to take, that you have to take, is probably not very good for you. It hasn't been tested. And whoever said that were ousted. They were screamed down off their platform. They were censored. They were taken off the platform completely, right? They were canceled. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll just take a look around what's happening. And it's still being covered up, in my opinion. For the past 6 years, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, has been diligently compiling an authoritative report on the full extent of man-made global warming. And according to a leak, it appears that global temperatures have not increased in 15 years. And I'm going to show you something that I found that pretty much substantiates what they're saying right here, that global temperatures have not increased in 15 years. The hundreds of esteemed scientists who worked on the report confirmed that 1998 is still the hottest year on record, and I still disagree with that. The hottest year on record regarding what? Regarding how long back? Just regarding 100 years back? All right, then maybe so, but not the hottest year on record. All right. Ever since that time, temperatures have either generally remained the same or declined, blowing major roles in the government's global warming narrative. Why do you think it is that the government pushes this narrative so much, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think that a government thrives during crises? Do you think that a government thrives when the people are scared and they're looking to someone to save them? Like I said before, a lot of children are actually suffering from anxiety because this global climate change thing, this global warming thing is being pushed down their throats so much that they really believe this and they think they have no future. Politicians who obtained a leaked copy of the report are now trying to cover up the fact, based on its findings, that man-made climate change is a hoax. And once the truth gets out, everything governments are doing to go green will also be exposed as nothing more than a power grab and money grab, ladies and gentlemen. Politicians call for warming slowdown references and report to be deleted. So if they don't want you to know the truth, they'll just delete it. They'll censor. They'll cancel. Now, this article is very short, so I'm going to finish reading it for you all, but I will leave this article linked on a pinned comment, all right, for you all to revisit if you like to. The AP obtained leaked documents about the matter showing that the political establishment all across the Western worlds is freaking out about the report's findings. Some are even calling for portions of the report to be redacted or deleted so the truth remains hidden. Were the world to find out that global warming and climate change are a hoax, it could lead to a massive revolt against the government for being misleading about the state of the planet. Not only that, but for stealing all of the money that it's stolen from people over the past decades to, quote-unquote, fight climate change. German leaders are calling for the contradictory data to simply be deleted from the report, while Hungary's leaders worry the report's release at all will provide ammunition for climate deniers to say, we told you so. The thing is I don't believe there are climate deniers. I believe that the climate changes every single day. And the climate changes from day to day, from week to week, from month to month, from year to year. There are cycles in the climate just like anything else. So the only climate deniers are the ones that are steadfast in saying, no, this is the only thing that's happening to the climate. Well, we tell you that's happening, ladies and gentlemen. It's what they tell you what's happening that they want you to think is happening. It's not what's actually happening outside right now. It was raining 5 minutes ago. When I started this video, it was raining outside. Now it's not raining anymore. And then down here it says, leaders in the United States have weighed in to urge the authors of the report to explain away what the data shows by using the leading hypothesis among climate scientists that the globe is still warming, but all the extra heat is being absorbed by the ocean. So they want them to lie to us. That's what this says. They want them to lie to us so that they can continue on with their agenda, so that they can continue to tax the living hell out of the people that they're supposed to be serving, and so that they can continue to eat their meat while they push crickets onto their subjects. That's how they see us, ladies and gentlemen, so that they can continue to fly their jets while they tell us that we have to get electric vehicles, but we don't have the infrastructure to charge that electric vehicles if we could afford the electric vehicles. They want the lie to continue because they benefit from the lie and we, their subjects, don't. The first draft of the new report was released to government in June, prompting hundreds of objections. All recipient governments will soon be meeting in Stockholm to discuss any alterations they want to make on the report, ladies and gentlemen. The truth is not good enough. No matter how they try to spin it, the report will probably show that the rate of warming between 1998 and 2012 was only about half the average rate since 1952. This is due to natural variations such as El Niño, La Niña, ocean cycles, as well as the cooling effects of volcanoes. Now let me show you this, ladies and gentlemen. This quick article, I only have one part on here to show you, and I already touched on it once. Global warming fanatics claim that terrorizing school children improves their climate behavior, engages them with positive actions. So you want to shove this thing down the throats of kids, and it improves their climate behavior, meaning that it improves the way that they act based on how you want them to act, right? It improves their behavior based on how you want them to behave, but it's not often very healthy for their mental state. Many children unable to cope with psychological trauma of climate propaganda turn to heavy drugs. And there is Papi saying good morning to you all. And it continues to say, while some students respond to climate propaganda in stride, accepting the positive actions their climate-assessed teachers want them to take, others do not fare so well. Climate anxiety is a newfangled disease that is rapidly becoming an epidemic, including in schools. And he's saying good morning, ladies and gentlemen, where some children are unable to cope with their fear of a warming planet, turn to hard drugs to try to alleviate their pain. Isn't that a shame? Incredible. Even if climate change is real, obviously you all know where I stand. I think that it's a hoax. I think that it's being used and has been used to drain us of our wealth for the last several decades. But let's say even if it's real, what business does a teacher have to be scaring the living hell out of your child? You should be able to go to school to learn how to read, to learn how to write, to do mathematics, to learn some real history, ladies and gentlemen. All right, not to be scared into thinking that you have no future. And finishing this article off with this, in 2019, Dr. Alex Woodcock responded to a New South Wales ice addiction inquiry by revealing that many young Australians feel pessimistic about their lives and futures because of all the climate propaganda being drilled into their heads. And many of them pretty much turn to illegal drugs, ladies and gentlemen, to ease their mental pain or mental anguish because they're being told that the world is going to end. And I was very pleasantly surprised to find this article from Zero Hedge, because I've talked about this very often, all right? In many of my videos, I've talked about this. Future of oil demand is brighter than you've been told. I wonder why, ladies and gentlemen. Is it because all of the money that they've been extracting from the people of the world to go green has reduced the consumption of crude oil around the world? Well, let's see what they say here. I've been saying for a while that it has not, and I've shown charts, but let's see what they say here. Oil demand's future is rosier than the common narrative would have you believe, according to a report released today by the Energy Outlook Advisors. According to energy analysts and the report's author, the hope that oil demand will decrease as the world transitions to clean energy is built on a lot of hype and wishful thinking. You hear that? It's built on a lot of hype and wishful thinking. Why? Because our demand for the use of oil is only going up and will only continue to go up, ladies and gentlemen. Now take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this chart. According to the report, and look at this chart right here, 82% of the energy consumed in 2022 came from fossil fuels. So if you go all the way to where it's blue, I believe, it shows what we've been using from natural gas, what we've been using from coal, and what we've been using from oil to extract the energy, the electricity that we need to run the world. And you can see that the trend has been going up for oil, for coal, and for natural gas. For China specifically, the report estimates that it would take China 211 years at the current rate of renewable spending to achieve carbon neutrality. You can never achieve carbon neutrality, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care what you say, it's impossible. And we'll talk about that here in a second. India will take even longer, at more than 400 years, to reach carbon neutrality. You know what California does? In order for them to consider themselves green, in order for California to have a nice big ESG score, let's say, what they do is they have natural gas under their ground that they can drill. They have that, right? But they don't drill for it. They don't use it. They go ahead and buy their natural gas from other states. So California can say, hey, we don't drill any natural gas, all right? So we're really good for the environment. But what they're doing is harming the environment even more, because a state or two away, they are drilling for natural gas there, so consuming the same amount of energy in that state that they would have consumed in California to drill the gas, but now they're having to transport that gas over state lines all the way to California, using energy to transport that energy to California for their use. So that's how they stay carbon neutral, or as close to carbon neutral as they can, is by outsourcing their carbon production. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so this carbon neutrality stuff, this is a dream. Because if it's carbon neutral in one area or one country, it means that another country is putting out a whole bunch more. In May, the IEA estimated that $2.8 trillion would be invested globally in energy this year, with more than $1.7 trillion of it headed to clean energy's way. Another $1.7 trillion that's going to be flushed down the toilets and into the pockets of these rich people who don't care about anyone, and politicians who definitely don't care about you, ladies and gentlemen. Now take a look at this. Now take a look at your upper left-hand corner. It says NASA Solar System Exploration, our galactic neighborhood. And this here is the solar system temperatures. Now this chart is the latest one that I can find. It says here published February 15 of 2022. So a little over a year ago, but it shows the average temperature of the planets in the solar system. Now I could have done a deep dive and looked at to the average temperatures of all the planets and seen, but I just wanted to check the Earth for one thing. I wanted to check the Earth with the average temperature of the Earth at the earliest time that I can find it, like last year, which is the earliest time that I can find it from now, and the latest time that I can find it, where a organization that is reputable put out that number, right? So here, the Earth, it shows it in writing, and here on this drawing here, it shows that the Earth's average temperature, ladies and gentlemen, was 59 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 degrees Celsius. The Earth's average temperature, 2022, February 2022, they published this, was 59 degrees Celsius, all right? And it says it right here too. The Earth, average temperature, 59 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius. All right, so then I was like, okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can take a look at a few years back. Can I find a reputable site like NASA that shows what the average temperature of the Earth was back in, I don't know, 2010 or so? I'm trying to go back as close to 15 years as possible. So I came up with this. Here you can see that it's from Earth Guide Online Classroom, but they get their information from NASA, as you will see. So if you take a look down here, right, this was kind of right here. This here is kind of confusing. Right, because it had the high temperature and the low temperature. I just want the average temperature, ladies and gentlemen. So if we take it all the way down here where it says related resources, and then you go ahead and click on the Earth fact sheet, okay, then it's going to take you to a site from NASA that tells you what the average temperature was in 2010. You see, this is from 2010. And if you go all the way down, right here where it says terrestrial atmosphere, it shows that your average temperature is 15 degrees Celsius. All right, average temperature 288 K, 15 degrees Celsius, ladies and gentlemen. So You can make up your own mind on whether you want to feel good that you're having to give of so much of your labor and your energy towards something that, what has it really done in the last 15, 20 years that they've been taking our money? What has really improved? Are we using less oil? No, we're not using less oil. Are children being harmed by this? No, there's a new medical condition now for children that have no hope for the future because of the climate change and global warming narrative that is being shoved down their throat in schools. What good has it done, ladies and gentlemen? All of the money that has been extracted from humanity for these last couple of decades for this, what is being called a hoax, and wants to be covered up by governments so that the people don't know. What good has it done? Ask yourselves that question. You can figure it out yourselves. I already know for myself that it hasn't done any good. Right? One day we will look back at this time in history and see what a big boondoggle, see what a big PR campaign this was on the human population. I was talking to someone the other day, or maybe it was a podcast that I was watching. But someone said, you know what, that thing that happened between 2020 and like 2022 or something like that, that was the biggest psyop in the history of the United States, of the world. And you know what? People fell for it. Well, people are starting to realize that now. But the real big psyop that they've really been encroaching on people is this climate change thing. Because the climate always changes. And the way that governments stay ahead is with fear. The more afraid you are, the more that you will comply. Just like 3 years ago. People were afraid and they did whatever they were told. They stayed in their house. They lost their jobs. They lost their businesses. Very few people said no. At the very minimum, I hope you do a little bit of research instead of saying, hey, this is why it's happening because somebody said so. Have a great weekend. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.